Hi, I'm Galen, and this is MONKyBEARD. Welcome to the channel. So today I wanted to go over month 2 and 3 of my beard growth journey. This is kind of where I started to see some real growth happening on my face. And this is where I started getting really excited about Minoxidil as an actual product, so you gotta have to stick with it. Month 2 and 3 is kind of where I started to experience the side effects, but also where the side effects also started to disappear. Side effects including heart palpitations, dry skin, and acne. I mean, the acne kind of stayed throughout the entire process, but it definitely started to diminish at this point with a few flare-ups here and there. So the first photo, you can see that I started to grow it out. At this point I started to actually get a process in how I want to take the photos. I'm actually have 4 photos that I'll take. It's one that is straight on, one on each side, and then one underneath, so you can see the growth of my beard. Here you can see that I actually have some weakness on the right hand side, and you can start to see that the chin area is actually starting to develop more. And if you take a look at the side, still there's not much on the cheeks, but if you look really closely, you can start to see that some hairs are starting to develop on the cheeks, but they're still very faint. And this is what we consider as the vellus hairs. The vellus hairs are the baby hairs, and if you were to roll off of Minoxidil, those vellus hairs would most likely fall out. So you want to make sure that they are the darker hairs, which you see somewhat on my cheeks. Granted, I don't know that from experience, but in 4 or 5 months we'll start to ramp down on Minoxidil, and we'll see if actually this beard does stay. And as you can start to see like some of the acne really starting to crop up on my cheeks, especially up higher on the cheekbone area. As I said, I didn't have much of acne growing up, except since I was like a teenager. So seeing a bunch of acne pop off was a little discouraging, but you know, you gotta go with the process, and you know, it does work, so you just have to stick with it. And here on the other side, there are some hairs that are actually started to develop on the jawline. Not very many, but there was enough, and it was getting to be really exciting. And underneath you can start to see that there's a lot of little baby hairs that are starting to develop right beyond the jawline, underneath where the neck connects to the jaw. And then you can start to see that it's a little uneven how the growth pattern grows in, so keep that aware. I find that my left side of my face grows very flat and straight, and actually grows differently than the right side of my face. The right side of my face tends to have more vellus hairs that crop up, and the left side of my face seemed to always be like 1 week of growth ahead of my right side of my face. So just keep that in mind, that it will be uneven for a little bit, but you just gotta stick with it, and eventually it does even out as both sides start to get dark enough. So here is month 2, week 2, so we're in August, and you can see that the acne starts to clear up a little bit, starts to dry out, but the mustache, definitely very weak, but it does start to grow a little bit in the center. I mean, the mustache will always be a problem area for me. Your problem area will vary. Some people have it right at the connectors of where the mustache meets the beard. Some people have it in the underlip, and some people have it in the cheeks. It all really depends. I have, I guess, 2, maybe 3 weak areas. One being the underlip, the other being in the middle of my mustache, and then the last ones are at the connectors of where my sideburns meet the beard. But you can start to see that there is some more hair, and you can start to see some start to develop on the underlip. There's actually some dark hairs that show up on the underlip, which actually disappeared as I progressed, and I think that was because I stopped putting so much focus on the underlip area, which probably hurt my growth in that area. So kind of make sure that you evenly spread the Minoxidil all throughout, because if you don't, those areas will be slower to get up to speed with the rest of your beard. And on the cheeks you can see that still some of the acne. The acne was pretty aggressive, I'll say. It would last, you know, usually 2-3 weeks before it was fully gone. Make sure that you have a good exfoliation. I didn't used to exfoliate until I went on the Minoxidil beard journey, but it really does. It helps, you know, kind of get rid of some of the dry skin flakes that you might get from as one of the side effects, as well as it's just really good for your actual skin health. So I did that about twice a week. Now again, nothing to speak much of on the sides of the face, you can see. And then underneath is where, on the chin, is actually where I started seeing the most progress. That's where it started getting really dark. That was probably the very first area that really developed, and it started getting just wider. So you can start to see it's starting to go as wide as my mustache, because before it was very thin and only got to the ends of my lips, and now it's going beyond that. Here's week 3 of month 2, and you can see that there's some darkness that's starting to develop at the tips of my lips, as well as more growth on the chin area. That's kind of, again, where you grew hair initially is kind of where you can expect to see the most progress first. Probably rightfully so. I think that's where your body is, you know, predetermined to grow hair first, so it'll prioritize those areas. If we go to this next picture, you can see the sideburns are starting to fill out. You can see it kind of grows in where you had hair and just darkens those areas first and then spreads from that. And same thing with the other side. And underneath, you can start to see some of those vellus hairs developing right beyond where you see the chin jawline, and it's starting to go down further onto the neck area. Here we have week 4 of month 2, and you can see that the chin is really starting to fill out. It kind of, throughout this whole beard journey, you could see that the hair would develop like right in like rows, and it would get higher and higher week over week, but you'll start to see that as the pictures progress. The really exciting thing, and what got me really excited, is that you start to see a lot of vellus hairs start to develop on the cheek areas, and especially right where the connectors of the mustache met the goatee area. And you can start to see it on the right-hand side. If you look really closely, again, it's kind of faint, but you see like just a light dusting of vellus hairs all throughout the cheek. And this was like where I got really excited. I was like, wow, I can grow a beard like, you know, in a month maybe. But it's a lot slower than you think. I think the overall timeline from vellus hair to terminal hair is about 6 to 8 weeks. So kind of temper your expectations, and it gets worse before it gets better. So what will happen is you have the vellus hairs, and then the vellus hairs will all shed. So they'll all just fall out, and you'll feel like, oh man, I just made a bunch of losses. But then, you know, as the time progresses, they'll come back as darker hairs. So don't be discouraged. It's part of the process. It goes kind of up in like a sine wave, but it slowly goes up, right? And you can start to see the acne is still there. You know, it's been 3 weeks since I started to get that, so pretty much the whole month of August I had acne. And then on the other side, you can start to see some of those vellus hairs again, and they're kind of just dotted throughout. As the months progress, you'll start to see them actually become terminal hairs. And underneath is where I started to see a lot of growth. So you can see underneath start to see some of that. It kind of looks like a shadowing, but it is hair. So that's kind of where I saw most of the growth, is just on that chin area. And then here we're into month 3, so we're in September, and you can see that there actually, I thought that the hair was going to grow on the left-hand side, but instead it grew up onto I guess in this picture, the right-hand side. So I thought, since there was connectors on this side, that if it started to grow, it would start to develop on, it would actually fill out that area first, but instead it did a reverse, and then it flew up onto, you started to see it on this side, and it kind of remained the entire process. Like this side is definitely weaker in terms of the hair growth. It's a little lighter, not like you can tell, but you know, when you nitpick for like a year and a half, then you notice all these things. But this side definitely came in darker than this side. And then on this side, you can see that it was a little weaker. And again, the growth pattern is very different. So this side would grow a lot more fuzz and vellus hairs, and then would slowly darken. Well, this side kind of grew, came in really harsh. Like, so you'd have really dark hairs would come in, but fewer of them. But so it kind of made this side look darker and this side look a little lighter. But this side had more hair, and this side had just more dark hairs, but fewer of them. So just very interesting. Again, it's not going to be even. You can even see now that there's still like a little bald spot here that I'm trying to fill out. But this side kind of came in nice and even. So just part of the journey. And here at the chin is where you can start to really see a lot of those vellus hairs coming in. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of vellus hairs, and then they'll darken, and then like it'll come in like in waves pretty much. So after each month over month, your beard's just going to get darker and darker. But as your hair comes in, you're going to see the vellus hairs less and less, obviously, because you can't. It's harder to see, you know, the progress through your actual beard hairs. Don't get discouraged. It might feel like it's slowing down, but it really isn't. It's just that it's just getting harder and harder to see the actual growth. So here we are in week 2 of month 3 in September. Here you can start to see that the mustache is starting to fill in a little bit. Still a very big problem area. It really won't get better until about a year in. And then on the cheeks, this is where I was talking about that about a month in, so like 4 weeks after the vellus hairs started to show up, maybe 3 to 4 weeks after the vellus hairs showed up, they all started falling out, and you stop seeing them as much, and you can kind of get a little discouraged. But on this side, you can start to see that some of the vellus hairs that didn't fall out actually became darker. So you can start to see that there is a line that's starting to develop on the right-hand side. And then here is week 3 of September, and you can start to see that mustache is really struggling. I mean, you get some vellus hairs, but not much. And then it really started to slow down, and this is what I'm saying, that I was debating whether or not I was doing these things right, but you can see that a lot of the vellus hairs on the cheeks, though, started to turn into terminal hairs. So you can see that it looks really patchy still, but you can start to see that there is progress, and then the connectors right here, it actually, you know, you could see a line of where the mustache was going to connect. And then on this side, you can start to see that there was a lot of vellus hairs. Again, it always felt like the left side of my face was always growing faster than the right side of my face. So it was always a little more patchy on the right side. But here you can actually start to see that the chin is starting to go along the bottom. And then here at the bottom, you can start to see that it really starting to spread. And it's starting to get a little darker. The density, there's more hairs than there used to be from the beginning. I think this is the last week, week 4 of September. And here, you know, I think I was doing it wrong. I was shaving all the way down every week, which could just slow the process altogether, because when you're shaving, there is a potential that you're actually just going to rip the entire hair out of the root, in which case, you know, you're going to have to start back at ground zero again. And here you can see on the right-hand side that there is some dotting of the terminal hairs, or the vellus hairs turning just darker, but it still stays kind of where the hair used to be, and just more density in those areas. And then the chin is definitely, it doesn't grow very even, you know, it's definitely longer on the right side and like taller on the left-hand side. But I think that's the end of month 3. I really hope that this video helps you kind of know what to expect for your own beard journey. If you like the content, make sure to give it a thumbs up. That really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave it as a comment down below. I'll get to it as soon as I can. Otherwise, I might even answer it in a future video. If you want to continue following me throughout my beard journey and see these progress photos, then make sure to subscribe. I would appreciate all the support I can get. Otherwise, I really appreciate, you know, your views, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.